The warning signals screamed across every screen in Luna Station's command center. Admiral Kate Morrison stood perfectly still as red lights flashed around her, watching the data streams that showed something impossible. 12 massive objects had just appeared at the edge of the solar system, each one bigger than anything humans had ever built. "How big are they?" Kate asked, her voice steady despite the chaos around her. Lieutenant Danny Cruz looked up from his console, his face pale. "Admiral, the smallest one is 3 miles long, the biggest one—" He paused, checking his numbers again. "The biggest one is 12 miles from front to back." Kate felt her stomach drop. In all her years commanding Earth's space defenses, she had never seen anything like this. The objects were clearly ships, their hulls gleaming silver against the black of space. They moved in perfect formation, heading straight for Earth. "Get me Captain Ryan Brooks on the USS Denver," Kate ordered. "And find Dr. Lisa Campbell. We need our best diplomat ready." Across the solar system, Captain Ryan Brooks was having his morning coffee when the emergency signal reached his patrol ship. The Denver was small compared to what was coming toward them, but it was the closest human vessel to the alien fleet. Ryan had been flying in space for 15 years, but his hands still shook as he read the orders on his screen. "First contact," he whispered to himself. Every pilot dreamed of this moment, but now that it was here, Ryan felt more scared than excited. The alien ships slowed as they reached Mars' orbit. They arranged themselves in a perfect circle around the red planet, their hulls catching sunlight and throwing it back in brilliant flashes. Ryan's ship approached slowly, broadcasting friendship messages in every language humans knew. The response came as a deep voice, speaking perfect English. "Human vessel, this is War Commander Thexval of the Zephyrian Confederation. You will escort us to your home world." Ryan swallowed hard. "Welcome to our solar system, War Commander. I'm Captain Ryan Brooks. We're honored to meet you." There was a long pause. Then Thexval spoke again, and Ryan could hear something like amusement in his voice. "Honored, yes. I suppose you should be." Dr. Lisa Campbell arrived at Luna Station just as the alien fleet reached Earth orbit. She was the best diplomat humanity had, a woman who could make peace between enemies and find common ground where none existed. But as she looked at the massive ships hanging above Earth like metal storm clouds, she wondered if her skills would be enough. The aliens agreed to meet on Luna Station. When the transport ship docked, Lisa got her first look at the Zephyrians. They were tall, nearly 8 feet, with long arms and legs that moved like dancers. Their skin looked like polished stone, and they wore armor that seemed to be made of crystal. War Commander Thexval was the tallest of them all, his crystal armor shining with inner light. "Dr. Campbell," Thexval said, his voice rumbling through the station's halls. "I have studied your species. You are young." Lisa smiled, trying to project confidence she didn't feel. "Young, perhaps, but eager to learn. We're grateful for this chance to meet." Thexval's large eyes studied her for a moment. "Grateful? Yes, you should be grateful. We have traveled far to reach you." The formal meeting took place in Luna Station's main conference room. Kate sat beside Lisa, while Captain Brooks joined, them by video link from his ship. The Zephyrians filled their side of the table, their crystal armor catching the light and throwing rainbow patterns on the walls. "We are the Zephyrian Confederation," Thexval began. "We have brought order to 47 star systems. We have made peace where there was war, brought progress where there was chaos." Lisa leaned forward. "That sounds wonderful. We would love to learn from your experience." "Learn?" Thexval seemed to taste the word. "Yes, you will learn. But first, you must understand your place." Kate felt a chill run down her spine. "Our place? You are a young species, as I said. Young species often make mistakes. They fight unnecessary wars, waste resources, harm themselves and others. We prevent this." "How?" Lisa asked, though she was beginning to suspect the answer. "We will show you," Thexval said, standing up. "Come, witness the power of the Confederation." The demonstration took place in the asteroid belt. The human observers watched from their ships as the Zephyrian fleet arranged itself in attack formation, their weapons charged with light that hurt to look at directly, and their shields shimmered like soap bubbles made of energy. "Observe," Thexval's voice came over the radio. "The mining station ahead of us is abandoned, yes?" Ryan confirmed it. The station had been empty for 2 years, left behind when the mining company went out of business. The Zephyrian flagship, which Thexval called the Stellar Dominance, turned its main weapon toward the station. The weapon looked like a crystal spear as long as a city block. Light gathered at its tip, growing brighter and brighter until Ryan had to look away. The beam that struck the mining station was pure white light. The station didn't explode. It simply ceased to exist. One moment it was there, a cluster of metal, buildings, and equipment. The next moment there was nothing but empty space and a few glowing particles that quickly faded. "Impressive," Lisa said, her voice carefully neutral. "This is our smallest weapon," Thexval replied. "Shall we demonstrate a larger one?" Before anyone could answer, another Zephyrian ship fired at a large asteroid. This time the beam was blue-green, and the asteroid didn't just vanish. It turned into a cloud of glowing gas that spread out like a small nebula. Captain Brooks was recording everything, his ship's sensors working overtime to analyze what they were seeing. The weapons were incredibly powerful, but something about them seemed familiar. The energy patterns, the way the ships moved, even their tactics, it all reminded him of something he had seen before. "Now you understand," Thexval said. "We do not conquer through cruelty. We demonstrate reality. Some species accept this reality quickly. Others require more convincing." Kate's voice was steady when she responded. "What exactly are you asking? Of us?" "We are not asking," Thexval corrected. "We are informing. You have 7 of your days to accept membership in the Confederation. You will place your military under our command, your government under our guidance, your resources under our management. In return, we will protect you from the chaos of independence." "And if we refuse?" Lisa asked. Thexval was quiet for a long moment. "No species has ever refused twice." The alien fleet began to withdraw, leaving the humans alone with their thoughts and fears. But Captain Brooks kept studying his recordings, something nagging at the back of his mind. The aliens were powerful, incredibly so, but they weren't gods. Their weapons had limits, their ships had weaknesses, and their tactics followed patterns he recognized. As the USS Denver headed back toward Earth, Ryan realized something that would change everything. The aliens fought like humans used to fight, back when war was simple and straightforward. But humans had learned new ways to fight, ways that might surprise even the mighty Zephyrian Confederation. The emergency meeting began 3 hours after the alien fleet disappeared from Earth's orbit. President Karen Walsh sat at the head of the table in the White House Situation Room, her face grim as she listened to Admiral Kate Morrison's report. Around the room, the world's most powerful leaders watched through secure video links, their expressions ranging from fear to anger. 7 days, President Walsh said slowly. "They're giving us 7 days to surrender our entire civilization." "That's correct, Madam President," Kate replied. War Commander Thexval was very clear. Submit to their rule or face destruction. The German Chancellor leaned forward on his screen. "What are our options? Can we negotiate?" "I don't think they're interested in negotiation," Dr. Lisa Campbell said from her seat beside Kate. "They've done this 47 times before. They have a system, and it works." The room fell silent. Everyone had seen the recordings of the alien demonstration. The mining station had simply vanished and the asteroid had been turned to glowing dust. No human weapon could do anything close to that. President Walsh looked around the table. "General Martinez, what's our military assessment?" General Paul Martinez had been quiet during the briefing, his weathered face showing no emotion. Now he stood up slowly, his movements careful and deliberate. "Madam President, I need to brief you on Project Nightfall." Kate frowned. "I've never heard of any Project Nightfall." "That was the point," Paul said. He walked to the room's main screen and entered a long security code. What I'm about to show you is classified beyond top secret. Only 12 people on Earth knew about this project until today. The screen came to life, showing what looked like empty space near Jupiter. Then the image shifted and suddenly dozens of ships appeared where there had been nothing before. They were sleek and deadly looking, painted black with sharp angles. That seemed to drink in light. "My God," President Walsh whispered. "How many ships are there?" 48 combat vessels, Paul said, plus support ships, mobile repair stations, and supply craft. We call it the Shadow Fleet. The British Prime Minister's voice came through the speakers, tight with shock. "How long have you been building this?" 50 years, Paul answered. "Ever? Since the Roswell incident?" Kate stood up so fast her chair fell over. "Roswell was real," Paul nodded. "Small scout ship, 2 crew members. We kept it secret and learned everything we could from their technology. But Roswell wasn't the only one. Over the past 50 years, we've recovered 17 alien craft from various crashes and encounters. Each time we learned a little more." The screen changed to show a woman in a white lab coat standing in front of what looked like an alien weapon. "Dr. Amy Torres has been leading our reverse engineering efforts for the past 15 years. Amy, can you hear us?" Dr. Amy Torres looked up from her workstation, her dark hair tied back and her clothes stained with grease. "I can hear you, General. Are we finally allowed to tell people what we've been doing?" "The situation has changed, Doctor. Please brief the President and the other leaders." Amy wiped her hands on a towel and faced the camera. "For 50 years we've been preparing for exactly this scenario. We knew that someday a hostile alien force would come to Earth. We've been getting ready." She gestured to the weapon behind her. "This is a quantum torpedo. It works by disrupting the quantum fields that hold matter together. One torpedo can destroy a ship the size of a city block." President Walsh found her voice. "How many of these do we have?" "Each of our 48 warships carries 12 quantum torpedoes," Amy said. "But that's not our only weapon. We also have plasma cannons, gravity mines, and something we call adaptive AI systems." "What do those do?" Kate asked. Amy smiled for the first time. "They learn. During a battle, our AI systems study enemy tactics and weapons, then adapt our responses in real time. The longer a fight goes on, the better we get at it." General Martinez brought up new images on the screen. "Meet Commander Jake Sullivan, captain of the USS Phoenix and leader of our Shadow Fleet." Commander Jake Sullivan appeared on screen, a man in his 40s with gray at his temples and steady eyes. Behind him, the bridge of his ship hummed with activity as crew members prepared for war. "Commander Sullivan," President Walsh said, "what are our chances?" Jake was quiet for a moment, thinking. "Madam President, the aliens are powerful, their weapons are impressive, and their ships are huge. But they fight like we used to fight 100 years ago, in straight lines following rules using the same tactics over and over." "And we don't?" Dr. Campbell asked. "Ma'am, humans learned something during our world wars that most species never figure out. War isn't about having the biggest gun or the strongest armor. It's about being unpredictable, adapting faster than your enemy, and being willing to do whatever it takes to win." On Jake's bridge, Lieutenant Maria Santos looked up from her weapons console. "Captain, we've finished analyzing the alien demonstration. Their shields operate on fixed frequencies, and their weapons have predictable charge cycles." Chief Petty Officer Tony Miller added from the engineering station, "Their ships are powerful, but they're built like fortresses. They're designed to take hits and keep fighting. Our ships are built to avoid hits altogether." Jake nodded. "The aliens showed us their cards thinking they were scaring us. Instead, they gave us everything we need to beat them." Dr. Torres came back on screen. "There's something else you need to know. Human warfare evolved through centuries of fighting each other. We learned to be creative, to think outside the box, to use our enemies' strengths against them. Most alien species develop faster than light travel and then stop innovating militarily. They become complacent." General Martinez returned to the main screen. "Our plan is simple. Let the aliens think they're facing helpless prey. When they attack, We reveal the Shadow Fleet and show them what human military engineering can really do. President Walsh stood up, her decision made. How long do you need to prepare? We've been preparing for 50 years, Madam President, Jake said from his ship. We're ready now. The meeting broke up with orders flowing to military bases around the world. The public would be told that Earth was negotiating with the aliens, buying time while humanity's real response was prepared. But in the shadow of Jupiter's moons, the Shadow Fleet waited. 48 warships filled with weapons the aliens had never seen, crewed by humans who had spent their entire lives training for this moment. Commander Sullivan walked through his ship, checking on his crew. In the weapons bay, Maria Santos ran final tests on the quantum torpedoes. In engineering, Tony Miller fine-tuned the adaptive AI systems that would be their edge in battle. The aliens had given humanity 7 days to surrender. They would get their answer, but it wouldn't be the one they expected. War Commander Thexaval and his Confederation were about to learn that showing off to humans was a very dangerous mistake. War Commander Thexaval stood on the bridge of the Stellar Dominance, watching Earth turn slowly below him. 6 days had passed since he delivered his ultimatum, and still the humans had not responded. Their silence was beginning to annoy him. War Commander, his communications officer reported, "We are receiving scattered transmissions from the human planet. They appear to be arguing among themselves about surrender terms." Thexval's crystal armor caught the light from the ship's displays. Arguing. Yes, that is what young species do when faced with reality. They waste time debating the inevitable. But his patience was wearing thin. The Confederation had a schedule to keep, and Earth was taking longer than expected. Most species surrendered after the demonstration. The few that didn't usually gave up after a small show of force. "Target their orbital stations," Thexval ordered. "Destroy 3 of them. That should encourage a quicker decision." The Zephyrian weapons charged with their familiar white light. 3 human space stations died in flashes of energy, taking thousands of lives with them. The deaths were broadcast live across Earth, and Thexval watched the human news feeds with satisfaction as panic spread across the planet. "Now they understand," he said to his bridge crew. "Send a message. Tell them they have 1 day remaining." But instead of surrender, something unexpected happened. Human ships began moving throughout the solar system, small patrol vessels and cargo haulers racing toward Earth. It looked like a panicked evacuation, which pleased Thexval. Fear was an excellent teacher. What he didn't see was the real movement, happening in the shadow of Jupiter. Commander Jake Sullivan stood on the bridge of the USS Phoenix, watching his tactical display as the Shadow Fleet prepared for battle. 48 warships hung in space like sleeping predators, their stealth systems hiding them from alien sensors. "All ships report ready, Commander," Lieutenant Maria Santos announced from her weapons station. Jake nodded. The alien attack on the orbital stations had killed people he knew, friends who had worked in space for decades. The time for hiding was over. "Tony, are the adaptive AI systems online?" Jake asked. Chief Petty Officer Tony Miller looked up from his engineering console. "All systems green, sir. The AIs have been analyzing the alien weapon signatures from Captain Brooks' recordings. They're ready to start adapting as soon as the shooting begins." Jake opened a channel to Admiral Kate Morrison on Luna Station. "Admiral, the Shadow Fleet is ready to deploy." Kate's face appeared on the main screen, her expression hard. "The President has authorized Operation Nightfall. Show them what humanity can do, Commander." Jake turned to his crew. "Drop stealth systems. All ships. Execute Battle Plan Alpha." Throughout the solar system, human stealth fields collapsed. Where there had been empty space around Jupiter, 48 warships suddenly appeared. They were sleek and deadly, painted black with angular designs that made them look like sea predators from Earth's oceans. On the Stellar Dominance, alarms began screaming. The Zephyrian sensor officer stared at his displays in shock. "War Commander, I'm detecting massive human fleet signatures near Jupiter. 48 capital ships, unknown class." Thexval spun around, his crystal armor flashing. "Impossible. Our intelligence shows they have only patrol craft and research vessels. Sir, they're moving toward us at high speed." Estimated time to engagement, 37 minutes. For the first time in his military career, Thexaval felt uncertainty. How had the humans hidden such a fleet? Where had they gotten the technology to build warships that could challenge the Confederation? All ships to battle stations, he ordered. Deploy in standard attack formation. These humans will learn that size means nothing without experience. The Zephyrian fleet arranged itself in their traditional battle line, 12 massive ships in perfect formation. Their weapons charged and their shields strengthened as they prepared for what they assumed would be a brief fight. The human fleet arrived like a swarm of angry wasps. Instead of forming a battle line, they scattered across space in patterns that seemed random but were actually carefully planned. Jake's ship led the assault, diving toward the alien flagship while other human vessels attacked from every direction at once. Fire quantum torpedoes, Jake ordered. The Phoenix launched 6 torpedoes at the stellar dominance. The weapons didn't look like much, just small, dark objects moving through space. But when they hit the alien ship's shields, they did something the Zephyrians had never seen before. Instead of exploding against the shields, the torpedoes phased through them. The quantum disruption fields found the exact frequency gaps in the alien defenses and slipped through like water through a net. 3 torpedoes struck the stellar dominance's hull directly. Explosions bloomed along the massive ship's side, tearing holes in armor that had never been penetrated before. "Impossible," Thexaval shouted. "Our shield should stop any weapon." His weapons officer looked up from his console, fear in his large eyes. "War Commander, their weapons are adapting. Each torpedo uses a different frequency." Across the battle zone, the human advantage became clear. While Zephyrian ships fought in their traditional formations, human vessels darted between them like fighters, never staying still long enough to be targeted effectively. Lieutenant Santos launched another spread of torpedoes, this time at a Zephyrian cruiser. The adaptive AI had learned from the first attack, adjusting the quantum frequencies in real time. All 6 torpedoes penetrated the alien shields and struck home. The cruiser shuddered under the impacts, its crystal hull cracking. It tried to turn to bring its main weapons to bear, but Commander Sullivan had anticipated the move. The Phoenix was already somewhere else, attacking from a new angle. Chief Miller watched his engineering displays with satisfaction. "The AIs are learning fast, Commander. They've identified 17 different shield frequencies and 12 weapon signatures. Our hit rate is improving with every shot." The battle became a lesson in different philosophies of war. The Zephyrians fought like knights, standing firm and trading powerful blows. The humans fought like pirates, striking from shadows and disappearing before their enemies could respond. Captain Ryan Brooks, flying a heavily modified fighter craft, led a squadron of small ships straight at the stellar dominance. His vessel was tiny compared to the alien flagship, but it carried something special. An AI system loaded with every human military tactic from the past 1,000 years. "This is for the orbital stations," Ryan said to himself as his fighter dove toward the alien ship's bridge. The Zephyrian point defense systems tried to stop him, but Ryan's AI was already adapting. It twisted his ship through impossible maneuvers, dodging weapons fire that should have vaporized him instantly. Ryan's fighter struck the stellar dominance just below the bridge section. The impact was small by space battle standards, but the quantum explosive he carried was designed specifically to disrupt alien crystal technology. The explosion tore through the flagship's command systems like lightning through a circuit board. Bridge displays went dark, communication systems failed, and for a crucial moment, the most powerful ship in the Zephyrian fleet was blind and helpless. That moment was all Jake Sullivan needed. The Phoenix and 3 other human warships concentrated their fire on the crippled flagship. Quantum torpedoes and plasma beams struck the massive vessel from 4 directions at once. The stellar dominance, pride of the Zephyrian Confederation, began to break apart. Its crystal hull cracked like glass, atmosphere venting into space as secondary explosions rippled along its length. "War Commander," the communications officer shouted over the sound of alarms. "We're losing structural integrity. The ship is breaking up." Thexaval stared at the tactical display in disbelief. In less than an hour, the humans had destroyed or crippled 8 of his 12 ships. His mighty fleet which had conquered 47 star systems, was being torn apart by a species he had dismissed as primitives. "Signal retreat," he ordered, his voice hollow. "All ships, withdraw to jump distance." But the humans weren't finished. As the surviving Zephyrian ships tried to escape, human vessels pursued them, quantum torpedoes and plasma fire reaching out across the void. 2 more alien ships died before the remainder could escape into hyperspace. Commander Sullivan stood on his bridge, watching the debris field that had once been the most powerful fleet in the galaxy. His crew was cheering, but Jake felt only grim satisfaction. "Maria, damage report," he ordered. 3 ships with minor damage, 1 ship with moderate damage, Lieutenant Santos reported. "No ships lost, casualties minimal." Jake opened a channel. To Admiral Morrison. "Admiral, this is Commander Sullivan. The Shadow Fleet has engaged and defeated the alien invasion force. 8 enemy ships destroyed, 4 escaped. Human losses are negligible." Kate's voice came back filled with amazement. "Outstanding work, Commander. How did they fight?" "Like amateurs, ma'am," Jake replied. "They fought like they expected us to, line up and trade shots like gentlemen. They weren't ready for human-style warfare. The battle was over, but Jake knew this was just the beginning. Word of humanity's victory would spread across the galaxy, and that would change everything." War Commander Thexaval sat in the ruins of his command center, crystal armor cracked and dulled with defeat. Around him, his bridge crew worked desperately to keep the stellar dominance from breaking apart completely. The ship that had been the pride of the Confederation was now a battered wreck, held together by emergency force fields and prayers. "War Commander," his communications officer called out, his voice shaking. "The humans are requesting communication." Thexval closed his large eyes. In 40 years of military service, he had never surrendered to anyone. The Confederation did not retreat, did not negotiate from weakness, did not bow to inferior species. But today all of those things seemed about to change. "Put them through," he said quietly. Admiral Kate Morrison's face appeared on the cracked main screen. Behind her, the human command center bustled with activity as Earth celebrated its impossible victory. Kate's expression was calm but hard, like stone that had been tested by fire. "War Commander Thexval," she said, "I believe you wanted to discuss terms." Thexval straightened in his command chair, trying to maintain some dignity. We request safe passage from your system. The Confederation acknowledges that humans are more capable than we initially assessed." Kate's smile was cold. "More capable? Is that what you call it when your mighty fleet gets destroyed by primitives?" The alien commander flinched. Around the bridge, his crew looked down at their consoles, unable to meet his eyes. The shame was overwhelming. They had come to Earth expecting easy conquest and instead found military disaster. "What are your terms?" Thexval asked. "First, you will provide us with complete information about the Confederation. Military strengths, planet locations, trade, routes, everything. Second, you will contact all Confederation forces and order them to avoid human space completely. Third, you will send a message to every species in your empire, telling them exactly what happened here." Thexval's crystal armor darkened with anger. "You ask us to reveal military secrets and humiliate ourselves before the entire galaxy." "I'm not asking," Kate replied. "I'm telling you what's going to happen. You have 2 choices. Agree to these terms, or we finish what we started." On cue, Commander Jake Sullivan's voice came over the communication channel. "Admiral, the Shadow. Fleet is in position around the remaining Zephyrian ships. We can have them destroyed in under 10 minutes. Thexval looked at his tactical display. The 4 surviving ships of his once proud fleet were surrounded by human warships. The black vessels hung in space like sharks, circling wounded prey, their weapons trained on Confederation hulls. "Very well," he said finally. "We accept your terms." The next few hours changed everything. Dr. Lisa Campbell took charge of the formal negotiations, working with Thexaval to draft the surrender documents. The alien commander was forced to admit that the Confederation's information about human military capabilities had been completely wrong. "How long have you had these ships?" Thexval asked during one of the sessions. 50 years, Lisa replied. calmly. "We've been preparing for this day since before you knew we existed. But our intelligence report said you barely had space travel." Lisa smiled. "Your intelligence report saw exactly what we wanted them to see. Small patrol ships, research vessels, civilian craft. We kept our real military hidden until we needed it." The truth was even more shocking than Thexaval had imagined. Not only had humans been monitoring Confederation communications for decades, they had been studying every species the aliens had conquered. They knew about the standard tactics, the intimidation displays, the way the Confederation broke planetary defenses through fear. "You knew we were coming," Thexaval realized. "We knew. Someone like you would come eventually," Dr. Campbell said. "Bullies always do. The question was whether we'd be ready when it happened." President Karen Walsh addressed the galaxy using the Confederation's own communication networks. Her message was broadcast to every inhabited world, every space station, every ship that could receive signals. The president stood behind a podium in the White House, but her words reached across hundreds of light years. "People of the galaxy," she began, "my name is Karen Walsh, President of Earth and representative of humanity. 3 days ago, the Zephyrian Confederation came to our world demanding surrender. They believed we were weak, defenseless, easy prey for their empire." The broadcast showed footage of the alien demonstration, the mining station vanishing in white light, the asteroid becoming glowing dust. Then it showed the battle, human ships emerging from behind Jupiter like avenging angels, quantum torpedoes tearing through Confederation shields, the mighty stellar dominance breaking apart under human weapons. "They were wrong," President Walsh continued. "Humanity will not bow to bullies. We will not accept slavery disguised as protection, and we will not allow others to suffer what we have avoided." The message that followed sent shockwaves through the galaxy. Earth was offering military assistance to any world that wanted to break free from Confederation rule. Human ships would provide support, human weapons would be shared, human military advisors would train local forces in the tactics that had defeated the supposedly invincible Zephyrian fleet. Within weeks, the first rebellions began. On Kepler Prime, a mining world that had been under Confederation control for 20 years, local forces attacked their alien overseers using quantum torpedoes provided by Earth. On New Centauri, human military advisors helped plan a campaign that drove Zephyrian forces completely out of the system. Commander Sullivan found himself leading task forces to a dozen different worlds, his shadow fleet multiplying as Earth's shipyards worked around the clock to build more vessels. The USS Phoenix became famous throughout the galaxy as the ship that had crippled the stellar dominance. "How many requests for assistance have we received this week?" Jake asked Lieutenant Santos as they traveled toward another liberation mission. 37, sir," Maria replied. "And more coming in every day." Chief Miller looked up from his engineering station. "The new ships coming off the production lines are even better than our original fleet. Dr. Torres has been improving the designs based on what we learned from the battle." Dr. Amy Torres had indeed been busy. The quantum torpedo technology was being refined, plasma cannons were being made more efficient, and the adaptive AI systems were learning from every engagement. Each new human warship was more advanced than the last. But the real change was happening in the minds of species across the galaxy. For the first time in generations, people believed that the Confederation could be defeated. The humans had proven it was possible, and now everyone wanted to try. 6 months after the Battle of Earth, Admiral Morrison stood in her new office, overlooking the construction of Terra Station, humanity's first interstellar military base. Through the massive windows, she could see ships from a dozen different species working alongside human vessels. The Terran Alliance had grown from an idea to a reality. 23 worlds had joined the coalition, each contributing ships, resources, and personnel to the fight against Confederation tyranny. The balance of power in the galaxy had shifted permanently. "Admiral," her aide announced, "you have a call from President Walsh." Karen Walsh appeared on the wall screen, smiling for the first time in months. "Kate, I wanted to congratulate you on the Rigel operation. Another system liberated." "Thank you, Madam President. Commander Sullivan's task force performed excellently. As usual. Any word from the Confederation? Kate's expression hardened. They're avoiding our ships completely now. Intelligence reports suggest they're having trouble maintaining control over their remaining territory. More systems are declaring independence every week. President Walsh nodded. Good. Maybe they're finally learning what we tried to teach them. What's that, ma'am? That there's always someone stronger than you. And when you meet them, you better hope they're more merciful than you were. The call ended, and Kate returned to watching the construction outside. Human engineering crews worked alongside alien technicians, building weapons and ships that would have been impossible just a year ago. The galaxy was changing, becoming something new. War Commander Thexval, now stripped of rank and exiled from Confederation space, sometimes watched the news broadcasts from his small apartment on a neutral trading station. He saw reports of human ships liberating worlds, of the Terran Alliance growing stronger, of his former empire crumbling piece by piece. The humans had kept their word. They were merciful victors, more interested in freeing slaves than conquering territory. But they were also relentless. Every Confederation world that asked for help received it, and human military advisors were very good teachers. Sometimes late at night, Thexval wondered what would have happened if he had chosen diplomacy instead of intimidation when he first arrived at Earth. But it was too late for such thoughts now. The galaxy belonged to someone else, and the age of Confederation dominance was over. The humans had shown their warships, and the universe would never be the same.